Race first, 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 race first. I'm screaming race first, brothers form a coalition. Protectors and providers earn your belt in position. Until my sisters out there, you're not my competition. Our enemy, one is divided as opposition. I'm taking care of home first. The melanin the creator blessed us with has value in its own worth. The most beautiful resources are black women. So when you disrespect them, yes, I get offended. We need to give our children knowledge, wisdom, understanding. And reparations for slavery, we are demanding. Look to the future, begin a positive outcome. Forget being niggas, we need to raise more Malcolms. Encourage our women that the beauty is natural. The bond between the brother and sister is compatible. I am race first, cause I love being black with the original man, and that's an actual fact. Race first, 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 race first. In the spirit of Marcus Garvey, one God, one aim, and one destiny. We're trying to live heavily. Power to the people that's meant for us especially. Support black businesses, utilize your specialty. I love my brothers and sisters, there's no confusion. You want equality on the ship is revolution. Look at our flag, let me explain what it means. In the essence of God, which is the supreme being. The red is for the blood of which our ancestors shed, for us to be free and also moving ahead. The black is for the skin we possess as melanin. As God's chosen people, just look at the evidence. The green is for the land in which our people reside, all over the planet, which includes that Kelbulan. I am race first, and there is no looking back, because I love my people, and that's the actual fact. Race first, 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 race first. One God, one aim, one destiny, one love. 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 Race first, 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 race first.
You're listening to Race First Radio with the Garveyites. I'm brother A to the J. I'm here with brother Abdullah and my sister Tanaya. On that note, I'm gonna turn it over to Sister Tanaya so she can introduce our guests.
Peace, Black Power, and Race First family. Welcome to the 6th edition of the Garveyites podcast, Race First Solutions Radio. Today we're gonna have an interesting topic, right? And two powerful experts, what we call subject matter experts. The topic for today is community policing, and we have our subject matter experts will be Brother Mark Quinn, who we call Sensei of the Community Watch Guard program, and Brother Eric, and President of New Era Chicago and NEC's Streets is Watching program. We also have today Brother Abdullah Shabazz contributing to the topic as well. Myself, Sister Tanaya, contributing to this topic as well, and Brother A to the J will be contributing. Just to open us up a little bit, I want to say something that I believe that aligns with Garveyism and community policing, right? Our own communities is essential to our survival. Black people being protected by Black people, to me, is the highest form of racial pride. So this is a timely discussion, right? This discussion is worth our time, attention, effort, and energy. So I want to turn it over to brothers who got questions. I believe Brother Abdullah had a really good question. I wanted to turn it over to him at this moment, but welcome everybody. Welcome to our expert speakers for the evening.
Thank you, Sister Tanaya, for that. Far as the question I have set in place for this evening, in regards to what you guys may think that we should do for our community, and I know both the Watch Guard and New Era Chicago have been doing this for quite a while. My question is, should we create a security system for our community? Or should we just focus on the individual, personal aspect in regards to providing security? And the reason why I ask that is because I remember going on Brother Marquin's Facebook live page earlier this week, and he brought up that aspect of, security in schools. But what I would like to ask the brothers is, should we have a security system in place instead of just providing only just individual security for our people?
Anybody can answer that, or was that directed to anybody, or?
No, anybody can answer that. Anybody can answer that.
Okay. We most definitely should have a system in place. In addition to what you said, individual security. But I think that if we as a people, as a community, as a nation, once we really begin to grasp and understand the idea and the philosophy that our well-being is our responsibility, then these questions will be a no-brainer. Like once we truly understand that our safety, our public safety, our education, the matter of us feeding and clothing ourselves, our general welfare, just period, is our responsibility. That question answers itself. Now the thing is, how do we go about that? I'm sure there are a number of different ways that we could approach that. But I'm sorry, excuse me. We definitely need systems in place. But first, we need to understand that, man. Listen, that ultimately, our public safety, the safety of our communities, the safety of our women and children is nobody's responsibility but ours. Nobody's. Like I'm never mad or upset at the police or the senators or the mayor or whatever, and nobody, because I don't expect anything from them. The people I'm upset with is my own people. You know what I'm saying? We got a all hands on deck crisis going on, and we got too many people that are just simply minding their business.
Shay, and I'm glad you brought that up, Brother Eric, because when I was in Vegas, I was listening to conversations of people asking those questions, and I'm like, well, y'all got groups out here in Vegas that's doing it. We got groups in Chicago that's doing it. The only problem is, why are we looking from outside forces to do something for us when we should have been doing this ourselves a very long time ago?
It's part of it is the conditioning. Mm-hmm. Part of it is that deep psychological conditioning. A lot of us, even though I think we understand that whole thing about us all being Americans is some bull, but I think we kind of hold out hope. You know what I'm saying? And so for that reason, we, in striving to be Americans and in striving to be included and accepted, we don't, we fail to consider that, man, we might just have to fight. We fail to consider that like we're in a war, because our whole thing is just like, man, we're all Americans and we're hoping that one day we will be treated as such and accepted as such, and we wasted a lot of time. You know what I'm saying? But if we really understood and grasped the concept of moving as a nation within a nation, we would understand that nations provide for their own security. You don't hear the Chinese, you don't hear other nations talking about, well, we're all humans, and so because we're all a human family, we should. I'm gonna put the education of my children in the hands of other people. I'm gonna put the safety of my community in the hands of other people because we're humans. No, they don't do that. They align themselves and they build and create and plan along the lines of nationhood. And our situation is a little different, but we can still do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? And we don't have to. Nationhood is not about some arbitrary lines drawn on a map, or some borders or whatever. Nationhood is about a mindset. You know what I'm saying? And for me personally, Black people, it should be extremely easy for us to move how we need to move as it relates to us just having a nation and having that mindset. Like, it's simple to me, in my opinion.
Ashe. Yeah, I wanted to ask this as well. Anybody can answer this one as well. I was talking to some elders, in the Black community, and I do it randomly, just to get a feel for how they thinking, about the community aspect of our lives. And I say, well, but to my question about the elders, right? I'm in the community, and I'm asking them, I'm saying, well, why do we think that young people, having trouble patrolling the community or looking out for you as you come up the stairs, or checking to make sure the children are at home at a decent hour? Those values that we had at one point, right? There was some values that we had and somehow got lost, right? There was a certain code that we had, right, about the neighborhood. And so Elder has said to me quite a few times that we lost a neighbor, right? And so I just want to ask that question is, an approach to community policing, according to a few elders, said that neighborly, it starts with being neighborly and minus stop looking at ourselves as just living in a hood, right? So that was something that, kind of got me, thinking. And I just wanted to ask brothers, is it as simple as looking at it as wafer?
You broke up, sis.
Check your mute, sis. I think you muted yourself. So, until we get her back, Brother Abdullah, did you have any other questions? Okay, did anyone get the gist of what she was saying and want to chime in to what she was saying?
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Okay.
Can y'all hear? Can we be heard, brother?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know when did it cut out, because I don't want to repeat anything I already said.
The last thing I remember you saying was about us being neighborly, I believe.
Okay, so then nobody hear the question. Okay, so the elders basically saying that the first thing that went wrong is that we lost those values, values that says this, what I'm saying, no matter whether I'm related to you or not, you still considered a neighbor. And as a neighbor, I have a duty to protect you, right? Make sure that, the children are in at a certain time. Make sure that the elders are protected. Make sure you grab bags of groceries when you see, people need it. Making sure that, the mail lady or mailman is safe and things like that. So what do you guys think about language that we use? As an elder put something on my mind that we refer often to our communities as hoods. And they say, that's probably one of the problems, is that first you may have to get back some of those values of being neighborly. What do you all think about that?
So I think the elder makes a strong point. So connecting this to Abdul's question with the piece around security. Security is a systems-based solution, or it's a systems-based issue. And so what happens is that when we once at one point in time had neighbors or had villages, had small villages on our block, Miss such and such or Mr. such and such down the street knew who, your mother was. And, if your mother got in trouble playing outside, she would get disciplined by the whole block before before her mother and father would get home, that type of deal. We had that at one point in time. We don't have that now. And so we are literally we're in a neighborhood full of strangers, and where, most of the people that you may, on your block, you may know 2 or 3 people, but you don't know your whole block. When I came up, I knew virtually everybody that was on my block. When I stayed over in the Chatham area, I stayed on at one point in time, I stayed at 81st and Morgan. I knew everybody. I knew people from 79th, 76 all the way to 87. I just knew, you knew people. But on my block in particular, everyone knew who I was, everybody knew who my grandmother was, and everybody knew all the kids on that block. So the block felt safe in some regard. And so they are absolutely correct. We don't have that anymore. But going back to connecting to what Eric said, to plug into what he said, he explained it. We've been conditioned. This is in a systematic, it's been systematically done and intentionally done to us, to separate us, to divide us, which allows a certain type of, which has allowed the chaos that plagues our community, the cancer that plagues our community and our people to this day. And whether that has been from the drug epidemic that we know that was purposely brought in by this country, which it ain't even a conspiracy theory. It is absolutely evident. We have evidence. We have documents that government documents that states that this is all absolutely true and factual, right? That with people like J. Edgar Hoover and others that have systematically destroyed us, whether it's through alcohol, drugs, poor education, redlining, and you name it, they found ways of totally dismantling our structures, our villages, our communities, our families. So, this was their plan from the get-go, and they still exercise that to this day, which is why they build way more prisons and invest more money in prisons than they do in schools and educational institutions. This, so it is absolutely shown that the school to prison pipeline is a real thing. It's nothing that's made up. It ain't a conspiracy theory. It's absolutely real. Okay, so, and we know this. And so if all of this exists and people speak on it in public, but it's not being addressed, something has to make you wonder, then what's going on? This is things that are purposely done. It is supposed to be this way. This is the system that they created and the system that they built. So we don't have security because they tore down our security. From the time that when they brought us over here on ships, and they did their absolute best to destroy every black man that they possibly can, torture men in front of the women, rape the women, break the men, do everything to totally destroy us and to dismantle us and to break us. They've tried to do everything up until this point, and they still do it. So it is the elder is right. We don't have neighbor, we don't have village. Going back to what Eric was saying. And once we fix that, once we can dismantle that which they have put upon us and start repairing our households, starting with self first, and then starting from the internal and then externally coming out into our households, building our households up, and then coming into the blocks, building up our blocks, block by block, you'll start seeing the shift. So it's really up to us. It's no one else who's going to help us but us. We have to be our own solution. We have to live by the "who got us" model. We are our own solution, and but the disease that we have been fed is to rely on external forces to do for you. But the truth of the matter is that bump that. They have instilled, and the reason why we do that also, in my opinion, is a level of fear as well. We are afraid. So but when you have examples like New Era Chicago or Watch Guard Chicago or the UNIA and others that are out here doing the work and that are out here showing examples of it, and what it ultimately is going to start doing, and it may take years to do this. You know, what is it? It takes a few seconds to destroy a building, but it may take you a few years to build one. So it's going to take us some time, and it can be frustrating that we may not see the end goal in our lifetime, and sometimes we can get frustrated in the work. But just like the pyramids in Giza over in Kemet, where they laid the first stone, whoever laid the first cornerstone didn't live to see the capstone put on top. So what does that mean? You got to stay true to the mission. But that building got built. That pyramid, that pyramid got built. The people that laid the first, second, and third layer of bricks did not live to see the last layer of bricks laid. But you was true to the mission. As long as we stay true to the mission, as long as we keep grooming our youth and educating and working with our youth, and we keep fortifying our village and fortifying ourselves and working with our people, hopefully within another generation or two, or even 3, it's going to happen. I would like to see it sooner than later, but it's going to happen. We just got to stay with that mission, and we will get back to that which we once were.
I agree with you on that, Brother Mark Quinn. And what I would like to add is, unfortunately for our people, and as our president, Brother Marua, always says, it's going to take for the conditions to change for our people to somewhat see the light as to what we got going on here in this country. I remember growing up on the west side where, even though it was quote unquote impoverished, I grew up in a community. Because everybody, like you said, Brother Mark Quinn, I grew up, everybody knew each other. Even the gangbangers in my neighborhood, in my block, they stood on the corner all day, every day, protecting the women, protecting the children. I remember just being outside playing basketball, football by myself, and those young men, them gangsters, they would protect and make sure that nobody bothered me nor any other children on that block. That was a system set in place from the OGs to the young Gs to ensure that whatever goes on in our neighborhood, we handle it, we defend it. What happened over the course of time is some guys got locked up, some guys died, some people moved away. So you started losing that sense of community. However, from an individual standpoint, you do have some people such as myself who were raised in that type of environment where security was important. And then when I later went into the military and started learning the enemy's, way of training, the enemy's way of using technology and using weapons training and so forth and so on. When I got out, I made it a mission that if I can get with one black group that's doing something similar to what I grew up with or I learned in the military, I would totally dedicate the rest of my life to that. And that's why I'm grateful for New Era Chicago, UNIA, and the Watch Guard, who I've done work with all 3. So I think from an individual standpoint, it's going to have to take people like ourselves who are truly dedicated and have a race-first mentality, who want to do something positive and productive and have a boots on the ground mentality. And that's just one method of how we can set a system of security in place. Some people may do roving guards. Some people may just go in the neighborhood and walk and talk. Some people just may want to establish some type of business, but if they see a roving guard, they see boots on the ground, or they just see people just thoroughly interested in just wanting to see their own people live safely, then that's a system of security in place that will ensure that our people are guided and protected the right way. So for me, I think from an individual standpoint, we're gonna have to have more like-minded brothers and sisters who want to see our communities blossom and flourish and also be safe. Therefore, it will allow a system to take place to where we can actually build it and create it. And then, we'll have way less violence going on in our community.
You know what I would like to see from this podcast? That we make a plan, like where we all could come together and make a plan and really, because when I look at New Era, you guys already have like something in place. In WatchGuard, you guys already doing with your thing, and as well as UNIA. But we are splintered off, so if we could come together and make a coalition, like a plan where there's a ground zero and we could show a model and we could propagate it, like have our propaganda, like cameras and everything, and show the rest of the nation a model on how you put something together that everybody could follow what we're doing.
I'm all for it.
Shay.
And may I add on to that, Sister Tanaya? I remember earlier today, you gave an interesting point about, this fear that many of our young people have. And I just want to mention that level of fear, it is necessary that our people rid ourselves of it. But you also asked, how do we go about doing it? And I remember Brother Anthony stating that fear is more of a mindset than it is an actual perception of reality.
Real thing, yeah.
Yeah. And like for example, everybody says certain neighborhoods in Chicago are bad and terrible, we should avoid them, and there's some truth to that. However, I've been in Chicago my whole life. I ain't never been afraid going to no dangerous neighborhood in the city at all. I have no fear. Why would I fear my own people? I'm on Race First. When I say on Race First, that means I love my people. When I love my people, what is there to be afraid of my people? We got good in our people, we got bad in our people. We understand that. However, when I look at a young person, I don't automatically label him as a criminal. I don't automatically look at her as a savage. I say they got good energy, but it's misguided. And I think that's one aspect we have to look at our young people. We have to stop automatically labeling what the enemy views our young people to be as criminals and savages and no good. Because at the end of the day, those are still our children. Those are still our young people.
Yeah, that's
some real talk. I'm sorry, go ahead, sis. I apologize. Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's peace, brother. I think thank you, Brother Abdullah, he was referring to a discussion we was having prior to the coming on, was that, a lot of black people are just fleeing, right, the communities and going other places. And when that happens, we lose the social fabric and the social value, because we under this assumption that safety is somewhere else, right?
And we need to understand there's nowhere to run to.
So in saying that, when black people thinking that safety is somewhere else or somewhere out there other than, the concentrated black communities, right? What do we how do we get young people, I mean, not just young people, but black people in general, but especially the youth, to feel that this is their responsibility, right? To protection of each other and the community is their responsibility when, they feel that safety is somewhere else out there.
They have to see it. They have to see it demonstrated.
I was gonna say the same thing, brother, but continue.
Yeah, Brother Huey P. Newton said, man, the people learn through observation and then participation. You know what I'm saying? What they've seen for the most part of their lives are, people, the elders, whoever, have neglected the community, give no thought or concern to the safety and well-being of the community. Their thing is, let me get mine, let me get out the way. You know what I'm saying? And so that's been passed down as a value to our children. And so our children see that and they're like, well, this is just how we behave. You know what I'm saying? I say it all the time, man. We got two important groups that are watching us. The first important group is our enemies. Our enemies see that, like, it don't matter what goes on in our communities. They know, like, it doesn't matter who gets killed, how savagely, how barbaric, how brutally, how undeserving. It doesn't matter even when the children get killed. And I'm speaking specifically about the men. We don't feel compelled to organize ourselves and act. You know, our enemies see that. They know that. They paying attention to that. Also, our children see that. They see that it doesn't matter, like, but when crisis happen in the black community, it's just a thing of, okay, well, on to the next one. You know, we got two important groups that are paying attention. Like, they have to see this demonstrated. You know what I'm saying? There has to be something where it's a change. It's a change from what they normally see. You know, they have to see men organizing themselves to establish themselves as the authority in their communities. Got to see men dedicated and committed to the idea of, you know, protecting the women and the children in the community. That's just the bottom line. They have to see that demonstrated.
Maybe that's the issue. Maybe that's the genesis, right?
That definitely is it, sis. I mean, and not to cut you off, that is it. Like, we have not seen it. You know what I'm saying? You know, for something for when a situation has been the norm your whole life, you know, you're born into a certain thing. It's just like, okay, this is just the way it is. And so in order for us to get them to act and move differently, they have to absolutely see that.
So that's why I was interested in forming a coalition between the UNIA, New Era Chicago, and the Watch Guard. And we all could fit in our own lanes. Like, I know we have a good propaganda unit. I don't know what you guys are doing, Eric, on your propaganda. So we probably could hook up with whoever you got as far as your propaganda, like filming you guys when you're going out. I know I haven't seen too much come across my timeline because I haven't been connected, but I know a few years back you guys was heavy with the demonstration and also showing people how you guys was demonstrating on social media, and I thought that was really effective. So I want to like lead this podcast with a plan, so all of us could do this, could join together and put something together.
Okay, let's do it. I'm definitely open for it.
I sure. Yeah.
And what do you feel about that, Mark Quinn?
I'm with that. I think that is a part of the missing components. So the reason why you don't see that a lot is because a lot of people that claim to be about the work aren't really interested. You're not going to see that connection because what happens is
absolute truth, bro.
The connection will expose the lie that they are actually about the work. So with us, we all know that we're working, and it actually, we already have a coalition, we just ain't named it. That's it. Because Eric knows he can call me, and I'm open with Eric. Eric knows that we've had conversations. I've had open conversations with Eric. Hell, me and Eric used to train together. So he knows he can call me anytime. Anytime he needs to go ahead and be like, yo, then it's a wrap. He never has to hesitate to call me, and I know I can do the same thing with him as well as with the UNIA. You know, we already have that per se because we're doing the work. We really are. Everybody that's on this Zoom is actually doing work. We may not necessarily talk to each other daily. Hell, we may not even speak to each other for 90 days. But the collective work is there. And when we come back to the table, we can be like, this is what I've been doing. Oh yeah, I've been doing X, Y, and Z today too. Oh yeah. We've been doing the work. And so what you're saying is, hey, we need to just organize it, structure it better, and name that coalition. And then that also becomes another layer of security, because remember, security is systems based. It's multifaceted, right? So I use a term now with WatchGuard, I use the term now because at first it was, okay, we go out and do the patrols and that's what we're still doing that in the gas station or whatever. But then what started hitting me was I need to start studying violence on an environmental level. So I'm now what I consider studying environmental violence, which means that we have to start looking at more carefully the multiple facets that are plaguing us, and then start creating strategies and plans to dismantle each one of those sons of bitches, each one of them. And I mean everything from nutritional violence to educational, economic, social, and so on and so forth. The list goes on. And what happens is that we have to start with ourselves first, individually, and not get caught up in our egos. I cannot do what Eric does, but what happens is a lot of us get caught up in our egos and want to be the man. I'm going to be the man that talks in front of the camera. And it's like, I ain't got to be the dude. Or I'm going to be the cook. I may not cook. I don't cook pasta. I bake pies. Well, if that's what I do, I need to be humble enough to go ahead and sit my ass down and bake a pie. So, and don't force and also at the same time, don't force anyone to do something that's not their mission. If we have scholars, allow the scholars to be scholars. If we have historians, allow the historians to be historians. If we have warriors, allow the warriors to be warriors. And then find ways of showing how each one of them actually connect, because each one of them need each other. Mm-hmm. Each one of them is absolutely crucial. There is you can't bake a cake you can't say, I'm gonna bake a cake and you only got eggs. If I say, hey, I'm about to bake a cake and I only got eggs, no stove, no fire, no bowl, no spoon, no sugar, no nothing else, no flour, you're gonna be like, how you baking eggs? How you gonna make a cake? All you got is eggs. So we have to make sure that each one of us is respective of each other's role, understands our mission, understands the connectivity of that, and does it and also has clear communication with one another on what we are needed and also what may not be needed without any ego. Mm-hmm. Like, man, I don't need that. If I'm doing something, the Eric be like, yo, Q, that's not needed right now. As long as he can, as long as he can be like, yo, this is why it's not needed. And I'm sitting there and I can humbly, actively listen and be like, okay, big bro, I hear you, I see you. And then we can have a dialogue about it. I'm like, okay, I see it. And then I back up. I need to humbly back up. That may not be needed. It may not be the right time to put in that salt or that sugar. Or if it is, dude, you're doing too much or too little. And we have to be open with one another. We are not, a lot of us are not open with one another, and I understand it. There'd be a lot of stuff that causes us to close up. It's a lot of stuff that causes us to it goes back to fear. We get so guarded because, even in those of us that do the work, we have a level of fear or concern. But we're gonna have to reach a whole new level of maturity in regards to that and be like, all right, whoo, like, yo, I am willing to let this go. Or not even that I gotta let it go, but you realize, like, I know this happened, but in order to get the fucking goal accomplished, I can't do it without this man or this woman right here. And this is too petty. The mission of our people outweighs the pettiness of this bullshit right here. And we gotta get on that level. And I think if we can do all of that and create that connectivity and that understanding, that environmental understanding, we can actually start changing the ecosystem of our people.
I say, Brother Abdullah gonna chime in on that.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I'm sorry if I was long-winded, family.
That's all right.
I'm glad you brought that up, Brother Marquin, about the coalition that we have. It's just not named yet because, like, for example, I may not be out there on WatchGuard with you, but when I'm seeing positive things that you and other brothers are doing, I won't hesitate to give you a call out of nowhere, like, hey, bro, I see what you're doing. I'm proud of you, man. Keep doing what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? That may further inspire you to want to continue doing what you're doing, because now you're seeing it from a different angle that, hey, my brother just called me, just, congratulated me and just motivated and inspired me to continue doing what I'm doing. And then, you may see something that I'm doing whether or not, through the music or whatever, and you saying, hey bro, congratulations, keep it up. And part of this coalition, what Brother Eric was mentioning earlier, was the ego aspect of it. Like, for example, I'm the vice president of Division 401. But when I'm working with New Era Chicago, I don't use my leadership title at all. I don't care. Why? Because when I'm working with, whether it's Watch Guard, UNIA, or Black Panthers, I'm a humble and willing servant that's doing the service for our people. I don't overstep nobody's titles. I don't overstep nobody's place. None of that. If Brother Eric would have called me right now and say, hey, Brother Abdullah, hey, we're gonna do the Streets of Watching. Are you can you come out and do it? Give me the time and place. If I'm able, I'm there. And when I get there, I'm ready to take orders. And I think that's one aspect that we have to have if we're gonna come together and form coalitions and continue to keep it going. Egos gotta get put to the side. It's just like a basketball team. When they get ready for the finals, all that BS they do fires on the court. When it's time to play the game, they are cohesive as a team to win it all. You dig what I'm saying? So I think we have to have the aspect of putting our egos to the side, working together, while also acknowledging what each and every person does. Because Brother Eric's job is different than mine. Just like Sister Sanaya's job is different than Brother Mark Quinn. And once we acknowledge that and accept it for what it is, then that coalition will be shown out there in public to our people. Because I'm telling you, from yesterday, from what I experienced, our young people, they want to learn.
I see. So I think we need to come up with a ground zero to get started. And recently, I'm pretty sure all of us saw this story floating across social media where the girl was trapped inside an abandoned house, and a brother was walking through the alley and heard her, and they got to the bottom of it, and the lady was free, the guy was caught, and this is a neighborhood with a lot of abandoned houses and everything. So did anybody hear about that story before I go on?
Yeah, I heard about it.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm thinking like a neighborhood like that to get started, and then team up with the people from that neighborhood so when we leave that they can maintain what we started. But it doesn't have to be just that neighborhood. But I mean, that neighborhood is ideal to me because I grew up in that neighborhood myself. But if anybody have ideas, but I do think we need a ground zero to get this started. Actually, go ahead, brother Eric.
Can I say something? Just I hear you, brother. Me personally, though, I think because. Bro, having been doing this for a few years, and I'm not trying to say that I'm no expert. I'm just saying having done this for a few years, and we've been located primarily in Inglewood, right? Mm-hmm. And the problem is our problem is getting people to come out for whatever reason and getting the people to take, to really buy into the idea, and really, participate. That is gonna come with consistency. I think we would be better served if we would start in a neighborhood that we've already been working in for either organization, New Era Chicago, Watch Guard, UNIA, the other organizations. Like we should pick somewhere that the community is already familiar with us in. I think that going to a new community, because this is I don't want to say hard work. This is work that requires consistency. And for, I think, this is just my mindset. For us to move to a new neighborhood, it would be almost sort of like abandoning all of the work that we've put in a particular neighborhood. And I only feel that way because like we're only a small group. I'm speaking of New Era Chicago. You know what I'm saying? And it's like if we had 200 or 300 people that my dream has always been to have different groups. We got a group over here in Chatham and Inglewood and in North Lawndale, in Austin, in Garfield Park, 10 or 15. But because it's only 3 or 4 or 5, like I just feel like we have to be consistent in a particular space. Like it doesn't serve us to just move from space to space because we don't make enough of an impact because it's only a few of us. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So like in order to offset that, like we should pick, and it doesn't have to be where we've been. I'm not saying that. Like we could start it where anyone else has been and we can work together, on that aspect. But I think it would be better. It would just be better if like we could stay consistently in a place and just consistently be at that location and be visible there.
I agree completely. So we've had calls. I'm sorry?
No, go ahead, brother.
Hello?
I'm glad to you.
Okay. Gotcha. So like we got called to come into West Garfield, and we was asked if we would come into West Garfield and do some work with Watch Guard. And the request for whatever neighborhood that we are asked to come into, the request is always been from us is you have to have people from that neighborhood. We'll come in, we can train them. We will train them, but it also, to go along with what Eric was saying, not only are you abandoning your posts that you already set up, you in some ways are shitting on the people in that neighborhood because you don't know that neighborhood. You don't know the alleys and the gangways and byways.
Yep.
What you do is you come into that neighborhood, build a relationship with them and train them, and then give them the resources and tools and the knowledge that they need in order to protect their own neighborhood. And then that way they'll welcome you in, and then y'all can join together like Voltron and do what needs to be done if you need to be there, but you give them the tools. Yep. So, but we can't abandon our posts, because if we abandon our posts, we like, oh damn, look what just happened over in such and such. And now, and then that makes us look crazy because we're not consistent. So consistency is key. Creating the thing that we have to do is maybe come together and create solid strategies on how to connect and build and bring those. Because I'm gonna tell you what the main, I'm not gonna say the main thing, but one of the issues that some of our people have with coming outside. Because I've come across this with trying to get brothers to come outside and and do the patrols and whatever. It's a couple things. One, some of them, they literally, like I said, that ain't my speed. But what happens is that I'm not, selfishly, I want them to come out and patrol the streets. But in turn, they have a speed. Well, I need to. What is your speed, brother? Well, man, I'm good with graphic design, and that's your mission. We're gonna go ahead and put you on the propaganda squad, and that's your mission. But having brothers come out in the field, a lot of them are scared to come out in the field, and I hate it. I do. I can't even front because they're afraid they're gonna get shot, and I ain't trying to put my hands on nobody and get into a fight. A lot of it comes with because they don't know how to fight. Straight up. A lot of brothers don't. They feel like if they got into a situation, they wouldn't really know what to do. Dudes out here got guns and all this other type of stuff. And I'm gonna be real, another piece that some people don't admit though, is I think people are afraid of black and blackness. Oh, y'all rock that red, black, and green. Y'all say race first. Oh, y'all say black power. I think that also kind of intimidates some of our people, because some of our people believe, whether they want to admit it or not, I think are afraid of that. Look, we just did the Juneteenth car parade yesterday. I helped with the Watch Guard, helped with escorting them from Malcolm X College all the way to the Pullman Porter Museum. And you got the brother screaming on a blowhorn and a microphone, put a black fist in the air if you love black people, in black neighborhoods, going through the South, going through the West and the South sides, and you see a neighborhood, you got 10 people on the block, 2 will throw up a fist. 2. Sometimes you may have more, But that let me know, like that also is a reminder that, man, you know, our people have been conditioned to poison. This is a slow journey, yo. And it's gonna be frustrating. We got to be just dedicated, disciplined, and vigilant with this shit. It's a slow process, but nonetheless, it's a process. What happens is I think we also get frustrated because the process isn't moving as fast as we want it to. But the truth is it's a science behind it, and we got a lot of. Keep in mind, y'all. Keep in mind, real quick, and I'm gonna jump off. We not battling white supremacy of today. We are physically in 2022 right now battling ghosts from 400-500 years ago. We fighting ghosts. That's how far behind we are. We fighting a motherfucker from 500 years ago. We boxing with him right now. We boxing a ghost. We boxing ghosts and the systems that they put in place, while they have the privilege to be in real time. We literally are time traveling with our fight. In 2022, we literally, with the work we doing, we fighting in 1660 some more. If you follow the Elijah Muhammad's thing, 1555 or whatever, we literally in 1555 or 1600s, we literally boxing them.
We literally right now. Damage that's already been done,
Exactly. That's who we fighting right now. So it's gonna be a process. We ain't even made it to we ain't even in the 1700s yet without fighting. We ain't in the 1800s, we ain't even in the 1900s. We still in the 1500s battling right now. We fighting. All of us is on this line of fighting ghosts. And what's happening is we trying to find what makes us so exhausted and tired, which we're actually trying to do a both and. We fighting them ghosts and trying to help repair our people right now. We're trying to do both, and that's what makes it so difficult for us. That's why nobody else on this planet has an experience like us. So, you know.
Let me add a perspective really quick, brothers. And kind of going back a little bit to what Brother Marquin said about we have to find a systematic way to connect the dots. And going up to community policing, and also adding to what Brother Eric said about, you know, consistency. So the women, right? The role of the women in the community. You know, the view is there's a lot of not intact families, right? It seems, right, that intact families move to the suburbs, and the cities are populated with a lot of, you know, female-headed households, a lack of male leadership in the households, which leaves the women and children unprotected. It seems, right, because we understand how propaganda works. You know, I like simple solutions. You know, I like approaches that women can easily get involved in helping with solving some of these community crimes and violence. And I think that I was sitting here back thinking while you brothers was talking is that two things I know Black people do consistently is one, go to church, right? And we have many of them that still attend block club meetings. And I was just thinking that, you know, one of the simple approaches could be, you know, the women and men, but mostly women if they want to get involved in the protection of their communities, right? Looking at the protection of their Black sons and daughters as a priority, right? And galvanizing what they have in front of them, meaning that, okay, if there's a block club meeting going on, as far as connecting the dots is concerned, if the brothers are out there, right, doing that one-on-one, that up in your face work, the sisters can be doing the other end of that, which is in those block club meetings, getting in there and finding out who they can empower, right? To okay, you might be the kind of brother that work 90 hours a week, and you can't get out there like that and be patrolling the streets. Well, this is what you can do. If we could just get into some of those churches and block club meetings and say, listen, we need people just to protect this block. If that's all you can do, that's all you can do. But it is your responsibility to make sure this block here is protected. And if we move block by block, you know what I'm saying, we may be getting somewhere. You know, I like small steps, you know what I'm saying, instead of big ones, right? That you could see something attainable. You know, I think Black people look at our problem as unattainable, unfixable, right? And I say, well, simple approaches like this, I can see sisters and brothers in the churches and in those meetings talking and connecting with our people, and letting them know, hey, we can utilize this block club or this church setting for more than one thing, right? So, I mean, what do your brothers think about, you know, that as a possible inroad to getting our people to you know, police themselves?
Go ahead, brother Mike. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think that, like I said before, it's gonna be a multifaceted solution. And I think that's a part that could be a part of it. I don't see anything at the moment. I don't see nothing necessarily wrong with that strategy in the sense of, you know, depending on what our goal is. And it's funny that you mentioned small goals, because this morning I was watching some videos that were talking about different strategies on how to prevent from getting procrastinated. Because I have tendencies of procrastinating sometimes, especially with.
Send that to me, bro.
Yes, sir. It's a few videos, and so I have those tendencies of procrastinating at times. And what happens is that one of the exercises that one of the videos talked about was establish small goals. Like you like you said, you see this big task and you're like, Jesus, it's the weight of this task. But it could be just a small goal, and a small goal like, all right, we're gonna such and such. You're gonna go into that church and build a relationship, and that's it. You went in and established the relationship, and you didn't got any good with the church. The next goal is gonna be create this program. Mm-hmm. Now the next goal is gonna be this, that, you know what I mean? And so I think that you said a lot with what you broke down, sis. I think you said a whole lot. There's a lot of strategy that can go into that we can take from that and actually apply it to everything that we're doing and everything. I agree with that completely.
Because our people can get overwhelmed a little bit, and I just think that for me, if there's 10 families on one block, okay, maybe 20 families on one block, you know, I'm just giving a rough estimate. Whether they single family homes or they intact families, it don't matter, or retirees, it doesn't matter. It's families on the block, no matter what the shape form is, right, that need protection. Okay, if 69th is my block, and I've counted that I got 30 families on this block, okay, then somebody have to initiate this meeting, right? And go in there and start putting notes on people's doors, you know, and saying, hey, there's a meeting going on next Friday. Come out to this location, make it convenient. Just go and start posting, putting stuff in their mailbox, reaching out to them is the first step. And then once we may not get all 30 families to come to that one block club meeting, but we'll start with the 5 that show up, you know, and slowly build. But right now, my goal is to get in contact with these 30 families that stay on 69th Street on my block. That's all I can take. That's all I can handle. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, family, I think, you know, we don't have to look at it as a big thing that we have to tackle it all by ourselves. I think taking your block first will be a good start. That's all.
We started a block club on my block, and that's exactly what we did. We didn't have a block club on my block before I got on my block, and it's funny. I am the vice president of our block club on 49th, but I am, on the vice president of our block club. That's how we started, and we literally started with, I think, maybe 5 or 6 people, and now it's like 20 people on the block club, and it's just it's taking time. I think we're on our 6th or 7th block club meeting, and it keeps growing. So you're absolutely right. One step at a time.
And I like the fact that, Sister Tonight, you said it can start small. One of the biggest problems we have collectively as black people is that we believe that we have to automatically have a large mass movement or whatever just to get recognized and heard. No, it doesn't. Your small block, your community can start up something that could eventually reach out over time to a larger solution. So and I think one thing we can do, and it's something as a man on a personal level that I'm starting to do more, is start listening to our women. Start listening to our women. Our women do have rightful grievances and concerns, because after all, who is it amongst our people that are getting hurt, killed, and destroyed the most? It is these mainly single mother children and all that, right? So I think that we have to be able to have more of a dialogue with our women, understand where our women are coming from, take their concerns and and plans that they may have into serious consideration. Because one thing I've learned, even being out with New Era Chicago, like when we go to these houses and stuff on the hood to hood streets watching, a lot of our women will give us proper advice on what to do and how to move and strategize. They would just like to see it, implemented in action. So, and another thing with that is, I think our sisters are probably more valuable people in spreading propaganda, probably better than we men do. Because the internet, for example, who's more popular on the internet, men or women? Women, they get the most attention. So if we can take that mindset, okay, they get this attention this way, we know we don't want to promote that, but there's something very serious going on amongst our people that our women do have great concerns about. How about we take what they're saying, what they would like to be done, allow them to push the propaganda for us, and show that, hey, look, all this negative narrative that our enemy wants to put out there about black men and this, that, and the third. No, that's not happening, because you do have black men out here who do care, who are truly concerned. And so that's one solution I think we can press forward, Sister Tanaya, and answering your questions, that start taking these sisters' concerns and their plight into very serious consideration. I know all us brothers on this platform, we do that, but if we can show it more consistently, over time, then I think that message would be a little bit more recognizable as opposed to not being done at all.
Right. That's why I want to concentrate on the ground zero, so we could document it,
right,
and videotape it and put it together and blast it over social media so people could see exactly how it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Ashay, in closing on my statement, brothers, thank you for that, Brother Abdullah. With the whole doing things in small steps, right? I do think women can do some very, right away, that can be instrumental to community policing, today, if we all get on the same accord, is that enforcing curfew, I think, man, that was something that was a norm, right? And we need to really go back to that. Women and men can enforce curfew for children, but I just think we need to go back to some of those, like the elder was saying, some values that we lost, right, throughout the different years for whatever reason, whether it be the drug epidemic, right, the incarceration epidemic, well, all these epidemics and pandemics that have been rendered on Black people, regardless, I think that a social value that needs to come back is enforcing curfew. When I was talking to, which I would love to hear from Brother Ray and Brother Marua, who's here today as well. Welcome, brothers. That women can enforce something like N by 10, right? If you under the age, if you're 17 and under, you know what I'm saying, you need to be in the house, especially, you know what I'm saying, N by 10, a lot of stuff happens after 10 o'clock, you know what I'm saying, and it's just something simple, you know, instead of, you know, when we get to talking about community policing, sometimes people get overwhelmed and don't know where they fit in. You know, something simple like that is a good starting point, just in my opinion. N by 10 would be a real good initiative, just in my opinion. Thanks, brothers.
I say, before we let our callers up, Brother Ray and Brother Marua, I have a quick question that was sent to me over the chat that I want to ask Brother Eric and Brother Marquand to chime in on. And the question goes, how to encourage the motivation in our people to work for our people? I mean, it's a simple question, but it's deep. So, I mean, how would you go about that, Brother Eric?
Man, bro, that is a daunting, frustrating, sometimes seemingly overwhelming task. Just trying to connect with our people and encourage them. I mean, because I've said before, man, it seems like no matter what happens, you know, it seems like, you know, when it's time to complain, when it's time to bitch and moan and gripe about what's going on, you know, there are plenty of participants, there's plenty of, you know, people that are willing to chime in and talk about what's wrong with whatever, you know what I'm saying? But I notice, man, the moment the conversation shifts toward, okay, what are we gonna do? There's a lot less participation of voices that quiet it down, you know what I'm saying? And I honestly, bro, I don't know. The only thing that I can say though, man, is like, those of us who know have to keep going. That's the only thing, that's the only answer that I got, man. Those of us who claim to be Garveyites and claim to love our people and claim to want to see this thing happening, like if we get it the way we say we get it, then we have to understand that our people are broken. So like Brother Marua says, we're planting seeds and we may not see the fruits of our labor in our lifetime. We have to understand that and come to grips with that. You know, that is a very disheartening thing, man. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, that's the point in time when you have to dig into that, pull down into that love that you got for your people in your community and be like, okay, I got to keep going. You know, understanding that what has been done to us did not happen overnight. And it won't be fixed overnight. So, you know, the only, like I say, the only thing that I can say as far as encouraging people is them seeing my dedication. You know what I'm saying? They got to see my commitment. They got to know that when I first started this, back in 2016, they got to see that I'm still doing it. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, man, yeah, that brother's dedicated. He definitely committed. That's the only thing I can do. Like, I don't know what I can say to get somebody to come on, you know. Sometimes that may happen and sometimes it may not. Something that I've heard the chairman, Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. say. He's like, man, people get involved in the struggle and revolution one of three ways. He say they get involved either through inspiration, aspiration, or desperation. I honestly think the desperate times is coming up real soon, bro. I'm sitting here, man, like Garvey said, when all else fails to unite the people, the conditions will. I'm sitting here eagerly waiting on the conditions, bro.
Well, yeah, they're coming. You can see.
I'm eagerly waiting on the conditions. Like, come on, bro.
The quicker we get this shit started, the quicker we can get it over with.
Brother Marquand, you want to weigh in on that?
I mean, I think Brother E, pretty much broke it down. But when it comes to motivating the people, one thing that I found of doing that is actually the people know when you bullshit and when you really real. And so, when you go out there and you are activated and you go out there to activate the people, you're not going to activate everybody. But even those who don't activate still get motivated. They may not get activated in the way you want to, they still get motivated by it. And so, because they can see that passion and they can see, but as long as you're being consistent, I think you can definitely motivate the people. But the question said to motivate the people to, did it say to motivate the people to work for the people?
How do you encourage the motivation in our people to work for our people? So how do you get them motivated in order to work for themselves, pretty much?
Gotcha. So, and one, it goes back to what he said. Two, and on the flip side, it also was about them. So we've been talking about it the whole night: consistency, and actually getting activated and stepping to them. And when you come to them with authenticity and integrity and real love, they see that, and then they do get motivated to work for the people. I just think that we don't. I want to be clear. I think that sometimes, and I'm not saying that this is what's happening here, but I do think this because I'm guilty of it. I think that sometimes because we don't see it in the fashion in which we want to see it, we don't think it's happening. So I do think that we do motivate and encourage people, even if it's just, and I think we encourage the people to work for the people. And what they end up doing is they work for the people, or they start moving slow in their process, but they actually start doing it though. I just think that I think we're fighting a battle that's heavy, but I do believe that based off what I've seen, we do make a difference, and I have seen people get activated and motivated based off of seeing consistency, seeing actual real love and work, and they can keep it within integrity. And I think as long as you can do that, like I said, it ain't gonna be everybody. Nothing is 100%, but you will get those that are gonna follow suit, and they're gonna exchange and give that energy to either someone that they love or someone that they come across. And I do think that it's happening more than what we see it. But and I think it's just not happening in the capacity in which we would like to see it. But I do believe that it is happening, and I've actually seen it. So I saw it. Matter of fact, I saw it today. The Nation of Islam had an event. Brother Shaheed from the Nation of Islam had an event. They was working with young men. I got a call from one of the brothers that was like, "Listen, they doing a martial arts piece. You need to be here." And so I went, and they broke everybody off into sections. You had several instructors, including me. I had my own little section, and they had one little brother that was in there. Now, I'm pretty sure I worked all them brothers. I had some of them brothers in there, may have motivated them. But one young brother wouldn't talk to nobody whatsoever for whatever reason. He wouldn't say a word. He stayed frowned up. He stood still. He wouldn't do nothing. His mama was trying to get him to do. He wouldn't do nothing. For whatever reason, I reached that brother, and that brother started beating. He got into his boxing stance. He throwing his punches and everything. And we talking afterwards. And they was like, he wouldn't talk to nobody else. Now that young brother, I may have literally prevented that young brother from doing something either crazy, asinine, or whatever tonight or in the future. Because he felt like, there's somebody out there that actually showed me some real love. So it does work. I think that we have to be more patient also. And I think that you said something earlier, Brother Alton, as one of the reasons why we don't see it also the way we need to see it is because it's not being documented also. That needs to be a part of our strategy. We need a team that can literally collect the data to see how effective we are being.
Exactly. So that's why tonight, after this podcast, we will have a plan, a coalition to move forward. And
yeah, I want to chime in on that. And I think first and foremost, it has to be from an individual aspect and wanting to motivate to continue to work for your people. Like for me, for example, the fact that my born day is the same day that the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey became an ancestor is inspirational to me enough to want to continue to be motivated in doing work for our people. The fact that I can do Race First themed music and had an elder years ago pull me to the side and say, as an MC, there's two things you need to do. You need to put on a show, and you need to do race themed music. Now, I was very impatient in doing that because I had thought prior to that conversation, I was doing that already. But the other day, and Brother Maru and Brother Ray were testament to this, I'm now seeing the fruits of my labor manifest to the people. I've been seeing this in 2022 alone. More and more younger people are coming up to me and saying, brother, we're watching. Brother, we're seeing what you're doing. We respect what you do. We are inspired by what you do. And yesterday when I went to the commemoration of the Honorable Marcus Garvey, that had 4 young brothers between the ages of 11 to 14 come up to me after that meeting and say, brother, can you teach us more about Garvey and Race First? Now, I'm not a church-going person at all. I can't stand going to church. But the fact that I went in this one church and they had art, red, black, and green flags all around that church. And I could see the seriousness those young men wanted to learn. I told those brothers, I will be back. And I stand on that. And I think when you look at it from an individual aspect of being motivated to want to do things for your people, put in the sacrifice. Brother Marua says it all the time. Show me what you love, and I'll show you what I'm willing to sacrifice. Brother Eric and Brother Marquin, y'all are brilliant examples of the sacrifices you brothers have made on the commitment for our people. And the more that we continue to show that, at least individually, it will motivate and inspire other people. Brother Marquin just said it. A young boy, he didn't even want to do anything until he reached out to him. I guarantee you that young boy was inspired to want to go back and learn even more. If we can do that one child, I think one of the mottos of New Era Chicago is one man, one woman, one child, one community at a time. I think that's the mindset we have to have first from an individual aspect and continue to show it and document it as well. Because the more and more people see it through social media or actively in the street, it will slowly begin to change the mindset of the people. And I will close with this. I totally agree that the conditions, the desperate conditions, will force our people to want to, do something differently, because everything else we doing ain't working. So, but when it's time for our people to come aboard, we got to make sure we ready.
The conditions are desperate. So I'm going to do a recap because this is solution-based radio, and I want to chime in with Sister Tanaya. So we know that we talked about consistency. We talked about how to motivate, and I think our main thing is consistency and staying in your own lane. Like when I came into I wouldn't say consciousness, into black empowerment or wanted to do race work. We all get inspired by Malcolm X or our past heroes that inspired us. But sometimes we want to emulate them, but that might not be our personality. So I understand our brother McQuinn touched on this about being able to stand in your own lane and recognize who you are and be able to give that to doing race work. I think Dr. John Henry Fox said it in I read a meme that someone that came across social media that he said that find what you do best and do it for your race, for your people. So, Sister Tanaya, I want you to chime in on some of the key points that we talked about tonight to move forward, just as solutions.
I'm sorry, brothers. I'm going to do that. I just thought we had some people waiting to chime in from the callers.
I thought that was at 10:15.
Oh, okay. All right. So we wrapping up. All right. So one of the things we talked about today was to name and define ourselves, right? And that is that we already have a coalition. We just have to define it. We just have to refine it and define it. And so getting UNIA and New Era Chicago, WatchGuard, and all of the people working for Black people in the realm of community policing and beyond, we just got to say, hey, this is who we are and this is what we're doing, and document it. So that's one solution we're taking away for today. Another takeaway is we talked about the role of, women participating in helping the brothers with some of the crime prevention, is just making sure the children are in the house at a decent hour. And if it ain't 10 for you, it's 9, it's another household. It doesn't matter, but all children under 17 should be in by 10. It's a possible initiative, right? And then we also just, another takeaway, we talked about the role of the block clubs and the churches, right? Consistently, our people go to church. That's one thing we go do. That's one thing Black people go do consistently is attend to some church, right? And they'll sit in a block club meeting, and that may be a way for us to assert our presence, and get in those meetings and empower people to patrol the block that they own, and make sure they have a sense of responsibility for each one and each family on that block. I think we talked about environmental violence, right? That we have to look at this from a holistic, right, stance. And I love that, because most things in African society is gonna take a holistic approach, village, bring back the village, right? So we have to dismantle each thing that threatens Black life. And I appreciate that from Brother Marquin as well. So we have to think about the entire, Black life, right? And the environment plays a role in that. We talked about safety, right? That a solution for us feeling safe is that we just gonna have to stand up, right? And we just gonna have to say, it's no such thing as safety as somewhere else. Safety is a state of mind. Brother Anthony, kind of enlightened us on today. We had a discussion earlier is that we have to, maybe redefine or tweak our understanding of what safety really means. It's not somewhere out there, right? Or somewhere in another state, or somewhere in another country, or in another suburb, right? Safety is a state of mind as well. So we have to really talk. Now we're talking about the re-education and reorientation of our minds around safety and what it means. So these are some of the takeaways that I got for us today, brothers, and some solutions. Any others that I missed? Can y'all cover me on that?
I think you pretty much covered them all, sis. So we're going to get set for our callers. We're going to invite them up to the floor. So, and I have a question that Brother Marua sent that I'm gonna repeat right now. And he says, what are the biggest hindrance to our soldiers staying committed to the fight? And I'm gonna ask these brothers to unmute themselves and step up to the floor. Brother Marua. Brother Ray, are you with us? Oh, brother. Okay, Okay, Brother Marua is there. So I want you to answer your question. What do you think about that? What are the biggest hindrance to our soldiers staying committed to the fight?
Yeah, so first of all, let me just say that it's truly an honor and a real good privilege for me to hear this discussion from tried and true soldiers and warriors in this race work. This is a done task. For the years that I've been working doing race work, I've seen it. I've seen it over and over again, and I'm quite sure Brother Marquin and Brother Egg have also seen it. I've seen people who come in and they fired up, they gung ho for the race. They gung ho. They here. They on the front line. They're always there. But all of a sudden, something happens. And next thing you know, you don't see them no more. So one of the things that I believe is one of the biggest hindrance with our brothers and sisters staying involved in this fight is so many of them want or look for quick gratification. They want to see something happen quickly. And we know those of us who are out here, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon, and when it don't happen quickly, events go on and very few people show up or things happen and people are not there, or they're not giving what we feel that they should give. Because a lot of times we decide what people should sacrifice. And I always say that a man cannot tell another man what their sacrifice should be. Only thing that we ask is that you make a sacrifice. So one of the biggest hindrance is, we don't get that gratification. We don't feel like, what we're doing is, is making a difference. We feel like, that, we're the only ones out here, as I heard somebody say, I think it was Brother Marquin say that, and we're not the only ones out here, and no matter what, if it happens tomorrow, or if it happens, as Honorable Marcus Garvey said, it might take 200 years, it might take another 200 years, well, it's been 100 years. It might take another 100 years for us to see Africans' redemption and liberation. It might take us another 100 years, but it'll take longer than that 100 years if we quit fighting. So, it's just something that I'm always looking at, and I'm consistently thinking about, and I was just, wanted to see, what the other brothers and sister Naya, what they might think about, what I'm saying? What makes us, what makes somebody fired up and gung ho for the race just quit? It just seem like they just up and quit, So, that was my
I want to chime in
reason
on
behind my question. Yes, sir.
I want to chime in on that. I would like, from my point of view of what I see like we're like a very small percentage of our population. Those who work for Black Empowerment, we're a very small percentage. So when we go to work, or when we doing our daily activities, or with our family and stuff like that, we're like ostracized. It's more normal to be homosexual than to be for Black empowerment. It's more normal to be like a degenerate or whatever. I mean, I can't say that, but it's more normal to be other things than for Black empowerment. So you get kind of, I mean, it could be like you go to church.
Discouraged.
Yeah, you get discouraged. Yes.
Yes, sir.
It's also it's you know it's a once again it's a multifaceted thing. Another thing that causes our people to not continue to do the work is their minds have been co-opted with this white supremacist capitalistic mindset of, in order for my cooperation, I need compensation. So they don't see the value of just going out and actually doing the work and being like, hey, this is valuable. That they don't see their time and their sweat equity as being or they don't see the results of their sweat equity being the currency or the return on the ROI, the return on the investment. They actually look at it like, hey, you know what? In order for me to go ahead and do X, Y, and Z, man, I need to get compensated. I need some compensation for my cooperation. They may give you a few months, they may give you a few weeks, but they're not going to dedicate the lifetime because they have been programmed and they live within the society and the culture, and they have been programmed to believe that is not valuable, that is not worthy, not realizing that those who have programmed them do it every day, all day. So, you know, this is one of just another adding to the many different causes.
I want to call Brother Anthony and ask him to chime in.
Thank you for having me on today. One of the things I think is, and I don't think it's a nefarious thing that is a hindrance to us, I think one of the biggest things is just life in itself. You have people who truly are committed in their heart, but life happens. Either they have a child or they get a promotion, so now they can't be out at certain times, or they lose their job and they can't afford to be out at certain times because they got to think about survival first. Then we have the situation where when people fall off, we as race workers, we have done a poor job of actually pulling them back in. A lot of times we're so busy with the work that we almost forget that they are human, and we forget to reach out to them and, hey, what's going on with you? You know, what's going on your mind? What's on your heart right now? What's keeping you from being here? A lot of times when people fall off, we allow it. And we don't go and reach back out to these people, right? Yep. Like Brother Alter said, the conscious community or the woke community or the race workers, whatever you want to call us, we're a small group. And every time we lose one, we really lose a 2 to 3 because that one should be motivating another person in itself. So we have to do a better job of actually reaching out to those who do fall off. When they first fall off, to check on them. A lot of times, like I said, we get wrapped up in our own worlds and the work that we're doing, and we just say, oh, they'll be back, or if they don't come back, then we just, we then pick somebody else up, instead of reaching out to them and find out why they fell off and how can we get them back in the groove.
I can share my experience when I first started this race work, and I started with marching with New Era, demonstrating with New Era Chicago. And I didn't have a car at the time. I had a car, but I jacked it up without putting the brakes on it, and the car failed, and I damaged my car, so I had to park it. And I went without a car for many years, and it was like embarrassing for me to be like calling people, asking for rides to get places, being a middle-aged man. So, it wasn't that at that time I didn't want to do race work. I mean, so just like Brother Anthony said, you have life that happens and things like that.
Can I chime in? I think part of it too is Marcus Garvey said we suffer from an extreme case of pettiness.
Yes.
Even those of us who get it. Who are dedicated and committed, we suffer from an extreme case of pettiness, and I've personally seen it, I just speak to my organization, it's like, and I think sometimes we fool ourselves. I think we trick ourselves because we think we gung ho, we think we on fire, but then a lot of times we let the most minuscule, unimportant, most smallest shit get us off track. You know what I'm saying? My thing is this. If any organization or any organization or a group of people that I'm a part of and we claim to be on the same page, if the work stops, then we have a problem. But little personal issues between each other and certain things happening, and this one said that ain't got nothing to do with that ain't got nothing to do with us feeding people. That ain't got nothing to do with us clothing people. As long as we
recording stopped.
We could continue.
Hello?
Yeah, we could continue because I'm recording. So
okay. I mean, my thing is as long as this is my motto. As long as we still feeding people, we still clothing people, we still doing our community patrols, we still reaching out in some capacity to try to move forward or whatever, I'm still on. I'm still on. Anything else, that's it's unimportant to me. You know what I'm saying? And I think really it is like we have to understand too, like we are not exempt from the sickness that plagues our people, even though we trying to rescue them. You know what I'm saying? Our people, those of us who claim to be Garveyites and revolutionaries and whatnot, we broken too. You know what I'm saying? And I really think that is a huge problem. Like we suffer from an extreme case of pettiness.
Yes, sir.
And add on what Brother Eric said about that sense of pettiness.
Recording in progress.
We have to look at it too from a historical perspective. I was recently watching a rare documentary on Martin Luther King, and Ella Baker, who was one of the founders of the SCLC, said that one of her biggest problems with with the SCLC was that it made it appear as though Martin Luther King was the movement. Because we gotta understand, how did Martin Luther King become in the spotlight? He was voted in by the people of Montgomery, Alabama to lead that Montgomery bus boycott. That was a people's movement, but because of him being in the media and the press, next thing you know, people were looking at him as the leader of the movement, and that encouraged some of the earliest members to stray away from the movement. So sometimes I think we have to be aware that one thing that can keep our warriors and our heroes and sheroes away from the movement is that egos will take place. People become personalities instead of being race workers. Because that's one thing that's always hurt black people as a whole, is that people start becoming the movement, becoming larger than life and want to be celebrities. Why you think Black Lives Matter is going through the hell that they going through? I mean, come on now. How you claim you working for your people, but you're doing Cadillac commercials with the enemy?
That was always. I mean, I wouldn't use them as me personally. I wouldn't use them as an example.
Wait, what happened to Cadillac commercials?
I mean, but still, they was financed by whites from the beginning. That's to me, that's like a Jewish organization with a black face on it.
Yeah, I agree with that, but unfortunately, it's still that mindset still trickles down to even the grassroots organization, because people want to think they're bigger than what they really are. When, like I said earlier, if Brother Eric calls me up and said, "Hey, Brother Abdul, you think you can come out to the streets and watch a patrol?" And if I got the time and I say, "Yeah," I'm not looking. Forget my position, forget my title. I'm a humble servant for our people, and that's how I think we have to look at it, instead of saying that, "Oh man, I'm part of this organization, I'm part of that organization. I'm only gonna focus on just organization." And it goes back to also what Brother Anthony said. We gotta also have a humanity aspect for our people as well. So if some of our people that's doing the work, they may not be able to do it at that point in time, let's reach out to them, we're like, "Hey brother, I was thinking about you, man, what's good with you?"
Right.
And little do you know that humanitarian aspect that many of our people love to show to everybody else. If we were to do it for ourselves, who knows? People will be more dedicated to want to be the race.
And we need that.
Brother Austin, if I can, on that that question or that topic that I kind of threw out there. Thanks for everybody chiming in. And just from my little experience being in this race work, I believe when we start looking at it as being a hindrance, when people quit showing up and quit actually doing what we're used to seeing them doing, it kind of goes down to what Brother Eric talked about. It shows our immatureness and our pettiness. One thing that we have to do when we work it and we believe and we love our people, one thing that we must do is that we must suspend judgment on our people. When somebody don't make it to an event, they can't come out and participate in something that they're used to coming out and participating in. It's before we start saying, and thinking that, they done lost their motivation. We need to suspend our judgment and do exactly what Brother Anthony is saying. It said, we need to reach out to them and we have to show that love there. When we start talking about violence in our community, we cannot, and I'm so glad Brother McQuinn talked about the environmental violence. We cannot actually become violent in our thoughts and our words when we start talking about other people. We have to actually suspend that. I believe that all black people, unless they have done something that's totally detrimental to the race, deserves the benefit of the doubt. So because Brother Ray can't show up, or because Brother Marua, had to go through his surgery and went through his own little mental health episodes and things like that, don't necessarily mean that they not, still committed to the race. It means that something came up, And sometimes when things come up, we have to actually be able to, if we are able, we have to be able to reach out and say, hey, brother, is there anything that I can do? Can I help you out in any type of way? Or just like somebody said, we have to be able to say, hey, look, I was thinking about you, bro. Or sis, you was on my mind, and reach out there. That's that compassion that we must show each other, and we must continue to demonstrate, when it comes down to working for our race.
I agree, Brother Marua. And really quick, chiming in on the question really quick about what hinders our people from continuing to do the race work or just working for our people in general. I just want to speak on the youth real quick. Adults, it's many reasons why we stop, quit, come back. It's many, that has a lot of layers to it. But I just want to focus on the youth because one of the things that I've learned in listening to them is that they can't stand hypocrisy. You know what I'm saying? And when I talk to youth, and I was at Hyde Park recently talking to them about, race work and what they thought about serving their people and serving their communities. And, you consistently hear it is that, young people pick that up real quick. When you saying one thing and you doing another, they not fucking with you. You know what I'm saying? It's, part of my language. It's at that point that you have, their mindset and respect level kind of change towards what you're doing, right? So we have to remember, like, in our different organizations that we're in, when we get a new member or new members, right, into that fold, when we bring them into the fold, is being mindful, man, being very mindful. And when we take mindfulness out of the work, that right there don't make people want to come back, right? Sometimes, because our people got traumatized, and a lot of people stay away too because of hypocrisy and being hurt by the movement. So just for our youth, you know, from what I've heard and talking to them, is that they got like a radar. They can pick up on hypocrisy, family. So we just got to be very mindful in the race work.
I see. So
I wanted to add on to something Prez said.
Go ahead, brother.
I just wanted to add on to Prez spoke about like not being judgmental. We got to also understand that the work it's not going to be one way. So I don't have a problem with somebody doing a Cadillac commercial if I know that may have led to some black folks getting something, or they was working towards doing something for the people. I don't have an issue with that because I don't know what that may lead to. The actions will tell you and dictate everything. For example, you got people out here that's claiming to do the work. I was recently in a room with the labor union, and what's interesting is the way it was the whole labor thing was broken down to me. It was interesting how they'd be like, "Yo, you got black folks that fight for contracts, and they get the contract." And listen, prayers, listen. Look, it was a candid conversation. The head of the labor union, this white boy, his name is Bob Ritter or whatever his name is. He had 300 unions underneath him, and we all having a candid conversation. The room is full of black, white, Asian, whatever, and everybody talking about their people. And when it was like the difference between black, white, Asian, Hispanic, or whatever, is when they get the contracts. If white folks get a contract, they hire white. When brown get a contract, they hire brown. They said when black get the contract, they'll fight for it and get it, but then they hire brown and white.
Right. Yep.
So that's a problem. That's a serious problem. I don't have a problem with you fighting for the contract. If you get the contract and you went ahead and made your deal, hell, you might have even took one for the team, but you went ahead and got that contract and you hired your brothers and sisters. And it was like, yo, I'm hiring my people. So I don't have a problem with certain things. The question is, what does the work look like? I recently had a sister check me. We're going back to listening to the sisters. A sister checked me because there's a well-known, what I consider an activist that's in the community that I was like, I'm not working with. I don't want nothing to do with, dude. I was like, you put me in a room full of clowns, everybody gonna think I'm part of the circus. I'm good. I ain't got no time dealing with stuff. But the thing was, this dude set up an event full of children, full of youth and teens. And a friend of mine who is connected to him was like, yo, can you come talk to these babies? Just come talk to them, give them some boxing lessons, come talk to them, give them some word. And what I did was, I had to get checked because I sacrificed, this is my stupidity, I sacrificed reaching and talking to a room full of teens and youth that I could have probably connected with, exchanged information with their parents, done whatever. I sacrificed them because I ain't want to be in the same room with the clown. Well, the truth is, I should have leveraged the clown to get to them. It ain't gonna look the same. It's different. You gotta have vision with it. And I'm gonna just be blunt and put it out there. I should have leveraged the clown in order to get to them.
Yeah.
And then connected with them babies and did X, Y, and Z. So the fact is that we gotta look at it. You can't look at it in just one way. We gotta be creative, and we gotta be creative and have vision with what we're doing with our movement, and because sometimes we think it's going to look one way, and it ain't going to look one way. What was it? I think it's a story of the Elijah Muhammad having a conversation with the head of the KKK, and to the external, they like, how you sitting here talking to this white boy, this cracker, he hate us and blah blah blah. But his whole piece was, we got the same thing in common. We want to be away from him. They want us away from them. They want to be away from us. He got the land. I got the money for the land. We gonna negotiate this so we can go ahead and make each other's the dreams come true. I'm gonna get this land and I'm gonna go ahead and feed the people. We gonna put our people over there and we can be away from each other. But
He saw it in a different way, but some people will clown that situation, not understanding that he had a logic behind it. That wasn't meaning he was going against the people. He just had a different logic behind it. That may not have been our way. That may not be my way. But what happens is we got to be careful about being judgmental without understanding the strategy. And if we have access to that person, pull them aside and say, "Hey, sis, bro, what's the plan, bro? Because I don't get it." Especially if you have that relationship.
Hold on one second, brother Marua. Could you mute your mic? It's wind. It's wind in my background. Okay, thanks.
No, I was done. I was just saying, if you got a relationship with that brother or sister, and you have access to that brother or sister in a relationship, pull them to the side. Another thing we don't do is we don't pull our brothers and sisters to the side and be like, "Hey, let me pull your coattail for a second. I don't understand the strategy here, bro. Can you put me on game real quick and just let me know what's up? Because I see you talking to the mayor who don't care about black. I can see she don't care about black people. Why are you even talking to her?" And then having that conversation and understanding the strategy, because what we'll do is we'll create false realities in our own mind and then start spewing hatred and putting false narratives out there because we really don't know what's what.
Yeah.
So we got to be careful of that too.
Brother Eric spoke on that earlier also. But I want to go back to the topic of the show and go back to, so we already formed the coalition. Brother McQuinn stated that, like, we already have one without even saying, like, amongst us, like the several organizations that's on this podcast. So I want to lead this podcast knowing that we have a coalition, we have a ground zero to plan an attack or a black empowerment movement. In New Era already have everything in place for that. We don't have to reinvent the wheel or anything. I know that I'll give my time to propaganda. I mean, because that's what I do. So like, I join both of your organizations or wherever you need me at to enhance the propaganda aspect of what we're doing. And so I know we haven't pinpointed the ground zero. I know Eric said Inglewood. They're doing work in Inglewood, and that's a good place to start, unless someone else has a better place.
Well, we know that New Era Chicago has done work in Inglewood, and we know that the Watch Guard is in Bronzeville. So we know that we got those two neighborhoods that has a presence of race workers there. We know that both of those neighborhoods have a presence of race workers there. Inglewood and Bronzeville. We know that. So just kind of.
So we have to pick. We don't have to pick one because I don't want to take no one off of their post. But we should start implementing the plan so that on one or the other we need to implement a plan where we could document what we're doing and make a prototype so the rest of the country could see what we're doing, and hopefully it could pick up traction where people could take what we're doing and make replicas.
Well, I was going to say one thing I've noticed what New Era Chicago has done, and I've seen this on their social media page as well. The things that they've done in the community, when they put it on their social media platforms, I see other New Era, places like Vegas and Dallas and Baltimore, things like that. They would use New Era Chicago's model of what they've been doing and implement it into their own strategy as well. So the propaganda use of what we're already doing, we can use that to try to, influence other people to do it as well. Like even us in the UNIA, it's a reason why, other divisions look at Chicago as a great model or example, because we're literally doing what it is, what everyone else wishes that they can do. So I agree. Definitely document it, definitely implement a strong propaganda piece. But also, I was gonna say, I don't think we should just be focused just on Inglewood. So Watch Guard is already located in Bronzeville. We can have people who are flexible and who are willing, like for me, for example, I'm flexible. I can, You know, if I got the time, I can go out there with Brother Mark Quinn one day. I have no problem calling him, say, hey, brother, I'm available. Where you need me at? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, we could work two at a time, but like Sister Tanaya said, it's several components that we're doing. Because we want to bring the community in to serve their own community instead of like, I live in Bronzeville, so I don't have no problem with Bronzeville, but community watch, I mean, I'm willing to join the propaganda side of that.
Right, and it goes back to what Sister Tanaya said earlier. Everyone has their own strong points that they can use. Like me, I'm more suited for what whoever Chicago does. Why? Because it takes me to what I did in the military.
Right.
And the brother Eric can attest to, in the past, I've actually helped, whoever with a couple of strategies on how to, do roving guard and all that stuff. So, that's my strong point. Your strong point is propaganda. Sister Tanaya has her strong point. All of them can work. It's just that we just have to know what our strong point is and actually do it.
Right, and my strong point is starting out with a small circles. I think the elders in UNIA influenced me on that one by just letting me know, hey, a lot of times a small circle get more done than a big circle. Eventually that circle will expand, you know what I mean? So I just think before we bite off more than we can chew, let's galvanize what we have in front of us. I also want to mention too, while we in the process of formulating a plan, is that, this is African Legion work. If we think about it in the terms of, Garvey, you know what I'm saying, is that until we call it or name it something else, because the Nguzo Saba gives us that, right, the ability to name and define ourselves. So until we call the coalition something else, this is like Legionnaire work, this is like, Black Cross nursing work, until we decide to name it something else.
I say.
Yeah, Brother Alton, and I'm in total agreement with what Brother Mark Quinn said. We already got a coalition, or even something bigger than a coalition. We got an association. That's what the UNIA is, an association. That means is different organizations that have the same goal, working together. That's the association. But this coalition that we do have, I just want to, throw it out there, do we actually want to pump up the fact that this is a coalition, we got a coalition out, are we ready? I'm asking because when we start talking about violence and protection, are we ready? Are we ready to be known that this is a coalition and we're a coalition? Because we got a few more Race1st organizations that I speak to often. If we was to put the word out, we got other organizations that actually would show up to support us, but are we ready to have it known and out that we are a coalition and who's all in this coalition? I believe it's gonna be a time for that to happen, but I'm not necessarily sure that this is the time.
I agree. I think we need to find find out what our commitments are going to be. What is it exactly that we plan on doing? What's expected? What's required from each of us? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I agree, and
right.
I'm kind of seeing that not reinventing the wheel, just joining in at our strong points, because we already doing the work and we already seeing it doing, but like you said, the consistency and then we kind of, to me, we splintered off. So it's like pockets of people doing the work, and I think we can be more effective together.
Ashay, brother Anthony, you had something to add?
Yes. I will say this. I think we are working in the right direction right now. I think moving everybody together. I believe saying we have a coalition, one speaks to what brother Eric said, as pettiness. We want to put a title on it. That's petty. That is insignificant. The goal is to get the work done. And I think we get more work done by being in different pockets. That way we can reach more people. If we all, let's say every group goes into Inglewood and we secure Inglewood is secure. But West Lawndale is screwed up. Bronzeville is screwed up. Rosa is screwed up. West Pullman is screwed up. We still have an issue. We're not gonna get stronger that way. I think we would be better off working in small pockets and small groups, branching out to each area. And something Marquin said, you can't go into somebody's neighborhood if you're not from their neighborhood and just go in there and call yourself a patrol. You have to get to know the neighborhood. So if we bring people in that's from West Pullman and say, come do patrols in Inglewood, there may be a backlash from the neighborhood because they feel like there's outsiders coming in and policing them the same way the cops are policing.
Right. So that's why you want to make sure
we have a distinction from the police. The biggest problem we have with the police department is they use outsiders coming to our neighborhoods who are not part of our community and police our community, so they have no interest in the betterment of our community. We don't want our own people to have that same image, to be outsiders coming into the neighborhood, policing them with no interest in the community.
So that's why we go to the community and Sister Tanaya said it earlier about going to the church and going to the block, starting the block party in those communities, so that we go to the community and get them on board to what we're doing and document what we're doing so the next community can follow. So that was my idea. As far as a name of the coalition, it doesn't have to be a name. It could be like secret. Nobody has to know it's a coalition. I mean, if we go out there and support New Era, we're supporting New Era. If we go out there and support the Watch Guard, we're supporting the Watch Guard. But we already have a coalition that's going on right now.
Can I chime in again, family?
Sure, go ahead.
This is gonna be. We've been doing community patrols. Well, we haven't been doing them for like the last month or so, maybe 2 months. But we've been doing community patrols for 2022. So what's that? 6 years? We've been doing it for 6 years, and in order for this to be successful, you know what I'm saying? Like, the reason I was saying that we need to pick a location that either one of the organizations has been in and that people are familiar with, because you have already laid the foundation. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't necessarily have to be Inglewood, like where we at. It could be, we could come over to Bronzeville, where the Watch Guard has been at. You know what I'm saying? But you all have already laid the groundwork. You've already familiarized yourself with the community. The community is familiar with you. You know what I'm saying? And the thing with this, like, remember what I was saying? I was like, for us to move to a different community, first of all, we have to have a certain level of consistency and commitment. So in order for us to move to a new community, it means almost that we are not undoing, but a lot of the work that we've already put in, it will be not for nothing, but it's like starting over.
So to move forward, we agree that we're gonna stick to a community that we're already in.
Okay, yes, we have to do that, because we have to ingratiate ourselves to this community. Like Brother Marquin said, if we just how you can't pop up nowhere and just start trying to lay down law. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna work. You know what I'm saying? The reason why we don't have any problems in Inglewood is because people in Inglewood been seeing us for 6 years. When it's hot, when it's cold, when it's raining, and so they familiar with us. They know who we are. You know what I'm saying? And like if we were to move to West Lawndale, we would have to start that process over again and start rebuilding to have a whole nother, we have to make 6 more years of headway of being consistent every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, you know what I'm saying? For 3 hours, they have to be familiar. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm saying, like, let's pick a community that either one of us has been in, and then we just come in and we just add to it. That's it.
Right. We document what we're doing.
Yeah. I was going to just add to what Eric said. It's real. Listen, even being here in Bronzeville, so we got pretty much we do the 2nd district and the 3rd district of the police department. Yeah, I just put it that way. They know who we are, especially the 2nd district. Like when we be popping out and we be talking to people, or they pull up and we already there, when they see us, it's like, oh, okay, it's them. If I'm on the west side, they're gonna be like, who the hell are you? And that can cause a problem too, because just our presence alone and what we've established, even on that level,
right, so
is known. So we got to be strategic with what we do. Like I said before, go into those communities, build with those people, and help them learn, teach them the strategies that we use in our areas, so they can use those in theirs.
Exactly. So that's what we're gonna do. We're wrapping up right now, so we're winding down. I want to ask each organization to discuss what they're doing for Juneteenth and what kind of events they have going on. So we'll start with you, Brother Marquin, since you're already on the floor.
So on Juneteenth, there's a couple of things going on. I am going to be on the west side of Chicago helping Brother TJ Crawford and the Right to Wellness Collective. He has what's called Black Culture Week. And he's asked if we could come and do a couple of programs and like martial art lessons and stuff like that, and help out with the venue. And then I'm coming back to Bronzeville because there's a sister, or actually the weekend of Juneteenth, the 18th and the 19th, who's right here in Bronzeville. I live in Kenya, right on 35th King Drive. I don't have the address to her space at the moment, but we're going to be safeguarding her and making sure that she asked if we could come and safeguard her facility and make sure that all is well with the people that are going to be coming and buying and purchasing from the vendors. And so, and then we're also going to just, continue with the same plan. Do the gas station patrol that evening, both on the 18th and the 19th, and make sure that, we can do our best to nullify any BS that comes in the way of our people. That's it.
Eric, you want to chime in?
We're actually going to be out of town. We're going to be in Houston. Our Houston chapter, we have different. We have a campaign where the whole nation gets together in different cities with the different chapters and whatnot, and we visit each city. So this weekend coming up is Houston's turn. So we are going to be out of town the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and Sunday, I think.
Brother Marua, you want to tell us what the UNIA got going on for Juneteenth?
Brother Alton. I think Brother Anthony probably, because he's been working real close with the organizing of the Juneteenth motor parade. So, Brother Anthony, can you give us an update as far as on what's going on the 18th? I think it's the 18th.
Yes, on the 18th. Division 401 of UNIA as well as 429. We will be, as well as working with ABJ and Sax Preacher, we will be doing a parade from 78th and Ashland to 69th and Loomis, for a Buy Black parade. Well, we'll have vendors at 69th and Loomis at the end of the parade. We'll have live music, bouncing houses, food, refreshments. We'll have vendors there. So we will be trying to encourage blacks to buy from blacks for blacks. The more money we spend in our community, the more money stays in our community, as long as we're spending with ourselves. Also on the 19th, we'll be having a Father's Day virtual mass meeting. It will be on the internet. We will put we will put the Zoom link on our page, on our UNIA Facebook page. So look out for that. That'll be at 3 o'clock on Sunday. That's Sunday, the 19th. So the 18th, we'll be doing the Buy Black Parade, and that will be starting at 10. And we'll be leaving starting the parade at 10. And then Sunday, the 19th, again, we'll be on Zoom at 3 p.m. And that link will be on our Facebook page. Thank you.
That's it. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in to Race1st Radio. This is solution-based black media. And we want to invite everybody to subscribe to our YouTube channel at UNIA Division 401 TV. Once again, that's UNIA Division 401 TV. And we'll end this with a race first.
Race first, 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 race first. I'm screaming race first, brothers form a coalition. Protectors and providers earn your belt in position. And tell my sisters out there, you're not my competition. Our enemy, one is divided is opposition. I'm taking care of home first. The melanin the creator blessed us with has value in its own worth. The most beautiful resources are black women. So when you disrespect them, yes, I get offended. We need to give our children knowledge, wisdom, understanding. And reparations for slavery, we are demanding. Look to the future, begin a positive outcome. Forget being niggas, we need to raise more Malcolms. Encourage our women that the beauty is natural. The bond between the brother and sister is compatible. I young race first, cause I love being black with the original man, and that's an actual fact. Race first, 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 race first. In the spirit of Marcus Garvey, one God, one aim, and one destiny. We're trying to live heavily. Power to the people that's meant for us especially. Support black businesses, utilize your specialty. I love my brothers and sisters, there's no confusion. You want equality on the ship is revolution. Look at our flag, let me explain what it means. In the essence of God, which is the supreme being. The red is for the blood of which our ancestors shed, for us to be free and also moving ahead. The black is for the skin we possess as melanin. As God's chosen people, just look at the evidence. The green is for the land in which our people reside. All over the planet, which includes our Kelbulan. I am race first, and there is no looking back. Because I love my people, and that's an actual fact. Race first, 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 race first.
One God, one aim, one destiny, one love. One God, one aim, one destiny, one love. One God, one aim, one destiny, one love. One God, one aim, one destiny, one love.
Race first, 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 race first.